Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another show for Flipping Houses for Rookies, and I'm Bill the Dealmaker.
And I'm Pete the Rookie.
Pete the what?
The amateur.
The amateur, huh?
No, the apprentice.
You got the check, huh?
Got the check
You
with
got
my
the
name
check.
on it.
Your
It's
first-
a big check.
First flip, huh?
First big, yes.
All the way.
Yeah.
That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I liked it.
Yeah? You
Yeah.
liked the check?
I liked all of it.
Oh. All the aggravation, the contractors and the realtors and the lawyers and
What
all
aggravation?
the stumbling blocks.
I thought it was a game.
Yeah? Oh, here we go.
Why get aggravated? It's not money for free. It isn't that Dire Straits song, Money for Nothing.
Yeah,
you
right?
You got to do something. But
Money for nothing. We should play that right now, but I don't
Hey.
know how to do that.
Oh, I didn't bring my guitar. But here's a little bit of, hey, folks, you like the intro music? You're welcome. But truly, the second guitar player in that band was one of my students, Jack Sonny.
Nice.
Absolutely. Dire Straits. Listen to it. Watch the video. The guy on the side with the big ears, the bandana, and the bare feet jumping up and down. That's Jack, old student of mine.
He's talking about the intro that we have for this show. Peter made it because he's a musician, so he's talking about that. Anyways, here we are, Peter. Episode number 40.
40.
Yeah.
Let's go celebrate.
We're almost at a half a generation.
Ouch.
50.
Ouch.
So, what's the name of today's show, Peter?
I don't know, Bill. You haven't told me yet. Good person. Bill, what are we doing today? He looked at me and pushed the button. This
Ready?
is not scripted.
3, 2, 1, start. And then you guys got it.
Boom. All right, what is it?
Name of today's show is It All Comes Down to This.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what does that mean, deal
Well,
maker?
We just came through a battery of seminars that we did, right? We did 4 seminars. We did 2 free and 2 paid seminars. We did a 1 month. We did a Wednesday night meetup, which was 90 minutes. And then the following, so let me just run through the gamut. So the first seminar we did was Goals are for Losers.
For losers.
And the gist of that is that the goals are important, but there are some things you need to have to make them work. And I went over that stuff, which is really good. So really, goals are for losers if you don't do all of it, okay? And most don't.
Yeah.
Most don't even know what that is.
You can't just set the goal.
Right. Yeah, just making up your mind is not enough. Then the following Saturday, after I did that meetup, we did marketing. I went through all the different ways that we market and how to buy how I get leads and how to buy houses. Then the following month at the meetup, which was a 90-minute presentation, I did how to talk to sellers when they call.
That's right.
And how you qualify a seller and when you make an appointment and when you don't make an appointment and all of that stuff.
Yeah, it's not like buying pencils. You're actually working with a person.
Right. And how to handle some of their concerns and what kind of conversations to have and questions. That's the big thing. And I actually revealed the script that I use.
Yep.
Okay. And that was on the third meeting.
Yep.
Then the fourth meeting, which was a full day Saturday, it was how to make the offers. And it was all about the conversations you have with the people in the house and how you get to a point where they will actually make you an offer. And I went over all that. Now, that was a little bit rough because it was a lot of theory.
We're still reeling from that, Bill.
And it looked like I hit everybody with a baseball bat by 4 o'clock in the afternoon because
They
their
were
heads were
dazed.
spitting.
They were dazed and partially confused.
Right. And normally I don't like to do that in front of a live crowd, but I did record all 4 episodes, and as of this recording, they are not on the website, but they will be on our website at flippinghouses.club. So if anybody listening to the podcast wants to do that very soon, probably sometime in March of 2017, they will be available.
All 4 of them?
I believe so.
Okay.
They will, or at least the Saturday ones will be.
Yeah.
But we're working. The problem with that is not the recording; it's all the editing.
Mm-hmm.
Getting it into a format that the internet can handle.
Yeah.
But anyways, this is not a commercial for all that stuff. I don't even know why I'm talking
That's
about it.
funny. It sounds like one.
Yeah, it sounds like a commercial, but I didn't mean to do that.
No,
just
that's
because we were talking about
Bill,
it.
that's important data.
Yeah.
It's a very, very important data. And just having it recorded, you can stop it, review it, research it, try it, go back again, go through it.
Right.
It's a lot of data.
The best thing for anybody to do that wants to learn this stuff so you're not confused or, is just go to flippinghouses.club and just start at the beginning, where I'm showing you the 7 ways to buy houses.
Yep.
Okay? So I guess subconsciously I did want to talk about this because it just occurred to me. The reason why I'm talking about all this is because I'm summarizing all the stuff we've been doing for months and months and months in 40 episodes of the podcast. Is how to buy houses, all the different offers, all the different techniques, the practicality of what I go through and what you go through every single day. Because a lot of people don't get it. Okay?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I have so much attention on that we were just talking before the show. Hang on, let me move my mic. We were talking before the show that we've actually started an Instagram page. And my daughter, Emma, the geek, has me actually, it's going to be my diary. Like once a day or twice a day, she's instructing me and she's like hammering me to like, when I'm out at the jobs, take pictures and start making comments because she says what we do, people want to know. I don't think so. I think my life is just blah. But like yesterday we were on the job and there was construction guys on there and they were taping and one guy was under the sink and like all these guys are working on my construction site and I'm just there. I go in for a half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour, just check on stuff, have my cigar, kind of do whatever. And evidently that's interesting to people. So we are on Instagram. Flipping Houses for Rookies is on Instagram. So if you want to join our Instagram, we're also on Twitter. We're also on Facebook. We're on all of them. So just go to Flipping Houses for Rookie. I think the only one for rookies, Flipping Houses for Rookies, and you can find us. Anyways, I'm making this a very long story. The reason why I'm bringing all this up is because for 40 episodes, we're talking about buying the house. What haven't we talked about yet?
Selling the house.
Selling the house. So
you can't sell something you haven't purchased.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of people haven't purchased the house. They're listening. They're thinking about it. They're researching some more, and they're reading about it. Get off your what?
So the reason why I went through this tangent is because one of the workshops that we just recently did, this came up.
Yeah.
I had a student in the workshop, and they were like, well, I don't know if I want to buy houses like this because how do I sell them?
Yeah.
And it occurred to me that we should probably talk about that. How do you sell these houses?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's like buy. We talk about buy, but what do you do once you buy it? And that's why I named this show It All Comes Down to This, because that's where you get your check.
The check.
The check.
The check.
It all comes down to this.
Mm-hmm.
The check.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Bill, I also have a viewpoint as an educator that, and an instructor. I teach people things, all kinds of stuff, and I've had staff work for me in different kind of jobs, and I'm pretty sure that if you don't know how to do step 5, you might be pokey on step 4.
Right.
Or 3, because you don't want to get to the one you can't do, so you'll drag and you'll avoid it, so
Right.
you can't get through it. To some degree, as much as you talk about, and everybody I read in the world says just one step at a time, totally. But what if you're scared about step 6, 10,
Right. 4?
Are you going to really start? Are you going to freeze up?
Right.
So to some degree, you have to have some clue what's going on, so you'll start without so much fear that you won't even pick up the
Well, you
pen
want to have
paper.
confidence.
Yeah, and if you don't have a piece that you know what to do, you won't, and you won't be afraid to start step 1. That's my point.
Right.
So, there are some people that buy the house and don't know what to do with selling it, and now they're in trouble.
Right.
So that's not right. So
Right.
it all comes down to this.
So the first, that's right. It all comes down to this. That's right. So the first thing I want to talk about that I don't know I've articulated it quite easily enough for people to get. The only place that you have to be afraid or have fear in this business is when you take a house subject to, you do a retail rehab, or you do owner financing.
Sure.
And the only reason why is because those are the only 3 places where you actually get a deed. And the deed's in your name, and you are liable, and you could jeopardize your investment, and you can jeopardize the property if you don't perform.
That's right.
All the rest of the deals, like the slot deal, the option deal, the lease option deal, the wholesale deal, the other 4, all you're doing is shuffling paperwork around.
That's just controlling the property, not owning it.
Right.
With a small deposit to have some interest in the home to make it legal.
So if like you said, it's small deposit. If the deposit's only $10 or $100, that's all you have at risk.
That's a cigar.
For me, it is.
It's right.
One that I need today.
Yeah. It's not Friday.
Yeah, I know. It's Thursday, the day before Friday. The day before cigars. I'm ready.
This is pre-game cigar?
Yeah, that's right. Pre-cigar day. Yeah. Anyways, my point is that a lot of people freeze because of the risk. So what's the worst case scenario if you actually go out and do a deal with a slot deal and you screw it up? So yeah, your seller might get mad at you, but they didn't lose anything. They just were disappointed in your performance. You didn't lose them any money. It's not like they lost the property or all of a sudden they got, they got some, $10 million bill or, you stole their equity, or it's nothing like that.
No, and you didn't make any promises in the first place. You just don't do that.
If you do what I say, then yeah, you're going to be very transparent. Yeah. So they knew when they went into it what they were getting into.
Yeah, I've never had anybody mad at me.
Yeah,
they're always actually grateful that you're trying, because what that kind of slot deal, the equity is not so hot, right?
There is none.
Yeah. Well, I've had a little upside down even.
Yeah.
Or so close that it doesn't matter. It's just so small. It's irrelevant, and they know it. So you're not there to hurt them. You're there maybe to help them.
Right.
And compared to this, what happens in a realtor situation when they don't sell your house in 6 months?
Right.
They just walk away, right?
Right.
Everybody expects that to be the case. No, it didn't sell. They don't blame the realtor. They don't blame anybody. It didn't sell.
Right.
They might not be happy with some realtors if they don't think they were helped enough, but it's the same thing like that. They just walk away. So if you do one of these and walk away, it's nothing unusual. Right. It's okay. You just actually do your best, and then you don't feel guilty.
Right. So the interesting thing is that it all comes down to money. It always comes down to money, and it's inflow and outflow of money. So when I'm looking at a deal, I'll have students come to me and tell me they have this fantastic deal and they want to do owner financing or this or that, and it's like it's in their own head. So you got to be careful that you get out of your own head once in a while. And here's how I do it. Is it a 12-month deal, meaning that it's zero from now until 12 months? Or is it a 12-month to whenever deal? Okay, and the way you know that is like on a rehab, you borrow the money for 12 months or less.
Yeah.
So you go to your private lender, you write a note for 12 months or less. And the or less is if you perform in 6 or 7. Like we just closed on a house. We had it, 4.5 months? We had a contract with the lady. I mean, we bought it in October.
Yeah.
Right? So we had four and a half months. Yeah. So we borrowed the money from her.
Why does it seem longer than that? It was, we bought it in the summer.
We bought it in October.
No, we actually met him in the summer, started negotiating in the summer, finally did the paperwork in October because we gave her some time politely. Yeah. You need some time, take a few weeks. And it was like maybe another month. Yeah. Now it's winter.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it goes. Yeah. That's why you got to have plenty of them in the pipeline because they take a while.
Well, that's you and your fancy idea of whenever you want to leave the house, but that was actually the polite thing to do to them. Yeah. We don't throw old ladies out of their house.
No. And she was extremely happy.
Oh, totally.
She texted me yesterday. She's very happy.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
she got her check. I'm sorry. I started yapping. She got her check.
Yeah.
But it was only 4 months. So if you're doing the money, up to 12 months.
We had a note with her on 12 months. Mm-hmm. But in 4 months, she got paid.
Yep.
So that's why I say 12 months or less, because the object of private money or rent, rehab, retail, okay. Now that works only for rehab retail. Subject to, when you get the deed, if the guy's got 27 years left on his mortgage, you could have 27 years to sell the house.
Yeah.
Owner financing, you make the terms. It's 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 12 years, whatever it is, whatever you are willing, whatever the owner is willing to give you.
Yeah.
Right? So my point is they're not 12 months or less.
No, those are more your holding property for a while. There's some terms, there's some cash flow.
Right. Like I was talking to a student not too long ago. They have a house that they have time. They have a 12-month mortgage, but they're like 6 or 7 months in, and they only have like 2 months or a few months left of income or a few months left of money. So they were kind of panicking because they didn't have holding costs.
Oh.
Right? Which happens. I'm going through that. I was bitching to you this morning about Middletown, about holding costs. What I mean? I went over the budget $2,000 or $2,100 or something like that, and I spent all the rehab money. Now I got a 5,000 square foot house. I got to pay the heating and electric bill on, and the insurance and.
Yeah.
The taxes are $9,000 a year. So it's like that stuff gobbles you up. Now sometimes you can kind of float that money along until you get your closing. You know what I mean? But sometimes you can't. So it's things to think of. So the point is that I have the deed in my name, so the water bill is coming to me. The deed is in my name, so the tax bill is coming to me.
Yeah, I noticed on the house we did. I was a trustee on that one, in the mailbox. Yeah. Hey, Bill, how come I got the tax bill?
Right. Yeah.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah. So you see what I'm saying? But if it was a slot deal or a lease option deal, then those aren't going to come to you.
Yeah, and that's the things that people probably don't know much about in real estate. They just think of, like a realtor, you buy it, you sell, it's just numbers. But it's the negotiating you can do to find ways to finance it.
Right. So based on how I borrow the money to buy the house, is how I sell it.
Yeah.
So the exit strategy is known prior to the purchase.
Mm-hmm.
At least there's a concept of it. Okay? My selling strategy, the reason why I don't talk about it, because it's too damn easy. To me, it is. I mean, we've done it both ways with you. We had a deal in Waterbury we went through, and we had a deal in Newington we went through, and then we got this other one in Newington that we went. So there's 3 of them, right, that we went through the process, right? So you know the different ways that I'm talking about.
Yep.
So really what it comes down to is I'm a fat, lazy investor these days, metaphorically, right? And so I'm using realtors. I got to tell you, for the first 70, 80 houses, maybe more, I didn't. I did it all myself. But the way the world is today with, all the services, Zillow and all those different services, it's foolish not to use a realtor for me.
So for a second, I thought you would say it would make it easier because you have all those. But why does it make it harder? Because people see too many things and they get distracted, or why does it make it harder? That all these houses are
once the house goes on the MLS, all these other tools pick up from that.
Yeah.
So the robots or the software scours the internet looking for these things. So it makes it easier to get out there because the MLS is like MLS means multiple listing service, and that's what realtors use to post the house and advertise the house. It's the only advertising most of them use.
And once that was all there was, right?
Well, it used to be like every state has counties, and counties have their own MLS, and they didn't talk to one another.
Yeah.
Now they all talk to one another, and they talk to the internet.
Right.
So it's more verse, more verses are adverse. It's spread out more. I don't know if I'm saying the right word, but anyway. So when I have a mortgage that is 12 months or less, and I need cash to pay off my underlying promised mortgage, then I just sell with a realtor, or I sell for cash.
Yeah, get your money back, pay the private money, take your money, and you're done.
Right. If I had a wholesale deal, which we don't do too many of them, but if I have a wholesale deal, it's the same thing. With wholesale deals, you can sell them. There's a lot of companies now. Matter of fact, my wife just went to a seminar and was telling me about it last night. She's all involved in it now. So about doing wholesale deals and transactional funding. That's a big thing now. doing transactional funding. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, explain a little bit.
Okay, so
well, there's a transaction of some kind.
Yeah,
what kind of transaction, I guess?
Used to be with wholesale. If I bought a house from you, I could put it, on the contractor, bill the deal maker, or assign to, or as assigns, or some language you can put there.
Yeah, so you would buy it, or somebody you assign it to.
So, or I can sign the contract over to somebody else.
Right.
And nowadays, banks don't like that because banks are trying to do. Too many banks have. The bank feels like their money's the most important money, so they're the only ones that can make money. That's the way the bank feels. They feel like they're at the top of the food chain when it comes to money. So very not true, but they think that.
Yeah, just because they print it.
Yeah. And they get as much as they want. Actually, they don't print it. The government has somebody print it and then gives it to them for free so that they can dole it out to whoever they feel. So they feel like they have like this power over the population because they control the money.
Like a counterfeiter?
Yeah, pretty much. Legal counterfeiter. Actually, there's a word for that.
Oh, what is it?
Yeah. It's called fiat money.
Oh, yeah.
Fiat money means that the government has passed a law that this is the only kind of money you can use. So that's what makes them not counterfeiters, is they're within the realms of the fiat laws.
Yay.
So, yeah. Anyways, so what happens is you can sell the property and pay cash. I mean, because you have purchased the property and pay cash, you have to sell the property for cash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? When you wholesale, you can actually... you used to be able to assign the contract. So if I bought the house from you and it says and or assigns, so it says bill the deal maker and or assigns, that means I can go find my end user or who's going to buy it from me, who I'm going to wholesale it to, and have them come to the table, the closing table, with the money.
Right.
And they would be the and or assigns.
Mm-hmm.
So if I bought it from Pete the rookie and I sold it to John the contractor, then the contract would say bill the deal maker and or assigns John the contractor.
Yeah.
And then John the contractor's money would come to the table and we would have what they call a simultaneous closing.
Mm-hmm.
Which means in the morning we would close with John of any given day. John would bring his money in. The closing company, whether it's a title company, we use lawyers, or an attorney, we use lawyers in Connecticut, they would have the funds, and then later in the afternoon close with you and take the funds from John the contractor and pay you off.
So you get your cut, and then the original owner gets his payment.
Right. But because
they don't like that anymore?
Well, because the banks don't want you making money on them. They feel like they're the only ones who go. So the fact that, because the bank wants the most amount of money possible. Mm-hmm. And if they find out that you made $10,000 and they left, in other words, they think they left $10,000 on the table. So they are very, very, very strict these days about wholesaling.
That changed over the last year? Because this was popular about a year ago.
The last couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, it still is very popular.
But you can't do the simultaneous closing anymore.
No.
So this transactional thing happens?
Transactional funding means that somebody will come along and charge you pretty absorbent in fees. So what will happen on a transactional funding deal, which is a wholesale deal, I actually purchase the property, Bill the deal maker purchase the property from Pete the rookie, and the transactional funding company actually gives me the money to do that.
Oh, so they're the middlemen.
And then 3 days later, I'll sell it to John the contractor for cash. So they're lending you the money for like a week, and they charge like crazy fees. But it's a new business that has aroused because the banks don't like it the other way.
So this is a private company doing it?
Oh, they're private companies.
Yeah, so they don't have to play with the bank rules.
They're like hard money lenders.
Yeah.
But they've excelled it, so instead of waiting 12 months for their money, they wait 5 days for their money, and they make about the same amount.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So it's clever.
Okay. So you'd wait till you have the buyer, and then you pull the trigger?
So you could. So if I was Bill the deal maker and I wrote a contract with you, a wholesale deal with you, we have a contract. When I find my other buyer, that's when I call the transactional funding company and say, I have these two deals. I bought this deal and I sold this deal. I need money to close it. And they make money.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Pam heard about that.
Yeah, my wife's doing some of that right now. Yeah, she'll tell you about it.
Okay.
We got this whole. She wants me to go to the seminar. I'll go. You never know. Anyways, so that's one way of selling.
Okay.
Okay. Now the other way is obviously retail rehab, where we actually purchase the property, we take in all the money, we buy the property, the deed goes in our name, all the bills come to us, we renovate the property, and then we sell it and get the money later on.
Yep.
Okay, that's 12 months worth of money. Wholesale we just spoke about, and then the other one is subject to. Subject to means that you get the person gives you the deed subject to the underlying financing. So if Pete the rookie is selling Bill the deal maker a property and you owe $140,000 and then you got 23 years left on the mortgage and you're paying $1,600 a month and your interest is 7% and the penalties are this, then I assume, and it's not actually an assumption of a mortgage, but I actually take on all that responsibility. You deed me the property, the mortgage actually stays in your name, and I own the property. Now, that's a twinge for a lot of listeners. There's a whole. We'll talk about that some other time.
As we have.
Yeah, we will explain that. It's not the way you think it is. The way we set it up is with a trust, and there's a lot of moving parts there. But it is by far. I did my first 30 or 40 deals like that, and that to me is the quickest way. You want to get $1 million or $2 million worth of real estate? That's the way to do it. It is by far the best strategy. The best strategy to get started. It's like, actually, I'm going to rephrase that. So doing a slot deal and a lease option is a way to get started because there's no risk, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Then I would move up into subject to and do a few subject to deals. And then once I get done with the subject to deals, I would start looking at the rehab retail and the owner financing deals because those are a little bit more complex.
Yep.
Okay, but they make more money.
Yeah.
So each step, you have more time invested, right? And you have more reward for your time. So when we look at deals, we actually have a formula, which I'm not going to share right now, but we actually have a formula on how much time we're going to invest and what kind of income we're going to get for that time. And there's 3 kinds of income that we look at, right? And that's a mystery sandwich. I'm not going to talk about that today.
That's a whole other show.
Yeah.
Right. But bottom line is, and you got me paying attention to this a while ago, if you're not going to make a whole bunch of money on a deal, don't spend a whole bunch of time on it.
Right.
And if it's a big, lucrative-looking deal, we'll spend a little more time on it. Don't kid yourself, though. But if it's really good money, okay, it's worth spending more time.
Yeah, so I try to average about $43,000 for rehab retail. It doesn't always happen that way, but that's my average.
Yeah,
and has been for years. The reason why is because every day. Like today, I need to go out to the construction site. I'm spending time on the job. So, like you talk about, if you add up your time, which I've never done, you add up your time for a rehab retail deal. We're probably making $10 an hour.
No. When I said that, it was you might be spending 100 hours and making 40,000. You're making $400 an hour.
Right.
I wasn't meaning like look at all the time you spend. See, it's really a job. No, it's really. It's like, what are you complaining about? You're making $40,000, so you had to spend 100 hours. Do the math. It's okay,
Right.
But I've heard you mention that amount on the rehab, and a realtor friend of mine who looked at the last house just to give me some suggestions. I think he said something like, "Well, around here the average is maybe 15,000, 20,000."
That's true.
Yeah. So that's true, about 15 to 20, or does it depend on the size of the house, right?
I met with a couple.
I'd like to know what that is.
I met with a couple girls the other day.
Yeah.
And they've done 15 rehabs.
Oh, I know those girls.
And one of the complaints was they're only doing about $10,000 a rehab.
Profit? Seriously? Ooh, that's not good then.
It kind of slipped into the conversation, but I picked up on it.
Wow.
So I think 10 or 15,000 is a real number.
So anything 15, 20 and up, you're doing better than usual.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Yeah, but on the bigger, like the $500,000 houses, the 400,000, then you go bigger numbers too, right?
Yeah.
So we have, we know.
I mean, the one that we just did, you can share that number. What did we do? We did like 27 or 28,000, right?
Yeah.
And that was low.
Yeah, for you it's low. For me it's like whoopee.
Yeah.
But of course.
But that was low, and I'm not picking on you, but that was low because we did things that I don't normally do on that job. I mean, we were doing some renovations we didn't need to be doing. We did a little bit more than normal. Mm-hmm. That should have been, by all intensive purposes, we should have been probably 35 or 38,000 on that deal.
Mm. Well, let's do another one and get it straighter.
Okay. It's fine. All right. So, good. So we're about halfway through the show, and I've been kind of like dilly-dallying around because I want people to understand how I sell houses. Well, this is common stuff we're talking about. You don't need me to learn. This is like how people do real estate, MLS dealings, and all right. That's not the magic. Mm-hmm. That's not the magic. Here's the magic. You do a slot deal. You do an option deal. You do a lease option deal. You do a subject to deal, or you do owner financing.
Yes.
Because all of those, let me do it again, slot deal, an option deal, a lease option deal, a subject to deal, or owner financing.
Right.
So it's all of the deals other than the retail rehab and wholesale.
Right.
All of those deals you can get over 12 months worth of financing when you purchase. So the only ones you don't usually get more than 12 months worth of financing is the retail rehab and the wholesale deal.
Right. Those got to move quickly.
Because they're usually banks.
Yeah.
Or the bank is involved somehow. You got to pay off a bank.
Yeah, even a private money lender?
No, I'm talking about you're buying from. They're usually banks. So like you'll buy a REO property. Oh. So you're buying from banks. So you need to. So the banks want to get paid off to give you a deed.
Yeah.
They're not going to say, I'll let you hold a deed. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's usually the reason why. Not always, but or it's like probate. It's something along those lines where they need the cash right now.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to do it again. So usually you can get almost always you can get over 12 months worth of financing on a slot deal, on an option. Although an option, not really. An option, sometimes you need cash. So you might do less than 12 months with that. But for today, we're just, so slot deal, an option, a lease option, subject to, and owner financing.
Okay.
So when you're selling, that makes a difference because your exit strategy is you have time to do this. You have more than 12 months.
Right.
On those deals, which is 5 out of the 7 ways that we purchase properties, I have a system that I use that I have not changed for 8 years or 10 years. It has worked the same because it is unfreaking believable. So I'm going to do that now, okay? I'm just going to rattle.
Go ahead. I've seen the video.
Okay. Yeah, there's a video.
I've got that. I got that video stored on my hard drive. I've got it. So let's hear.
Share that with too many. So
no, I don't.
Everybody on the call is going to be like, "I want the video now."
I will sell it to you.
Yeah.
Don't tell Bill, but I will sell it to you.
No, the worst part of it is now we're going to have to go figure out how to upload the video so people could see it. So. You talk to Emma, not me. You buy her lunch, not me.
Easy. She likes grinders. I think I almost know which one it is by now.
Rose's Deli, North Colony Road, South Colony Road in Wallingford.
Was that the pepper and egg or the sausage? Yeah. The eggplant.
Yeah. No, okay. She likes chicken parmesan sub.
Okie doke.
That's what I bring her. Or Neil's Donuts when I'm bribing her. Anyways, so here's what we do.
System.
What we do is I put about 12 or 15 Bandit signs in the neighborhood. Okay? The sign in front of the house is different than all the other signs. So the 12 or 15 signs we put in the neighborhood are usually on intersections that have the most amount of traffic in the neighborhood.
Leading to the house.
No, it doesn't have to be. They're just major intersections, and I don't mean major intersections, but they're intersections that a lot of people in that community would drive through.
Okay.
So it gets a lot of. So the signs could be seen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then what I do is I put on the sign, house for sale, first line, second line, no bank qualifying.
And all people hear is no bank.
Yeah. No bank qualifying. And then the third line is the phone number. So people call, and there's a free recorded message. I use freedomvoice.com for $9 a month. I use other services. I also use hostednumbers.com. But I use mostly freedomvoice.com, and I use them because of their price. Freedom Voice is about $10 a month per recording. You're going to need two. You're going to need 2 recordings, so it's $20 a month. Hostednumbers.com is about $30 a month. So that if you had 2 numbers, it's not phone numbers. You need 2 mailboxes because you're going to do 2 recordings, and I'll tell you that in a minute. So basically, it's cheaper to use freedomvoice.com. So I do a recording that says house for sale. So when they call the phone number, it's a recording that says, thanks for calling the real estate hotline. The house that you're inquiring about is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. It's located at 123 Main Street in, whatever city you're in. If you're on Main Street, take a right at the church and a left at the bank, blah, blah. And I give brief descriptions like from most common places. If you're at the library, here's how you get there. And just kind of like I don't spend a lot of time on that. I try to let them know where the house is. Then I tell them on the free recorded message, I tell them that if they go to the house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they can see the house. They can view the house right away. So come on over and let's show you the house. Okay? Now, I'm revealing way too much on this podcast, but I'm just decided this morning I'm just going to do that. So the recording is difficult for some people. I have a script. You're not going to get it unless you're part of our group, I guess. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry about that, but some things I can't give everything away. I'd like to, but, it's not fair to the people that actually paid for that stuff. So we have a script that we use, and basically we use Audacity, which is if you go on to Google or any search engine, just type in Audacity. It's a free recording device. And if you have a microphone or a microphone on your computer, you can record the script. I read the script and make mistakes and fumble around and do all kinds of things, and then I go back later and I edit out the mistakes.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. So when you listen to the recording, it actually sounds like I'm just reading it, and I'm like really good at reading scripts, and it's not. It's just because I use Audacity. I take the Audacity file and I uploaded it to Freedom Voice as my free recorded message. Okay. Now they listen to the free recorded message and they go to the house. Oh, by the way, when I put the signs out, I actually put an arrow because it's at an intersection to point which way to go. So they could just follow the signs and follow the arrows and find the house as well on the Bandit Signs. So 2 things can happen. They can call the phone number and get the free recorded message. It tells them about the house. It doesn't tell them the price. It just gives them a description of the house and how to get there. And then they can follow the arrows. Next thing they do is they get to the house, and the sign that's out front of the house says, house for sale, no bank qualifying, and no phone number. And then you could put on the bottom of the sign, come in today or something like that. I mean, I've done different things. Okay. At the front door, I put another sign. These are all plastic corrugated signs, the Bandit signs. Yeah. I use yellow because we've tested them. They work better than white. They work better than green. They work better. The yellow works best. Okay. We tried blue. We tried
Yellow's good.
Colors. Yeah. At the front door, we actually put another free recorded message. Now, when you're buying free recorded message phone numbers, they charge you not for the phone. I mean, they charge like $5 for the phone numbers, but what you're paying for is the voice box. so you can make the recordings. So each recording has to have its own voice box. So you have to buy a second phone number to get a second voice box. So what I do is I actually put on the front door, if you want to get into the house and see the house right now, call this phone number. And they call the phone number, and I welcome them for being there, and I tell them that they're going to view the house by themselves, and here's how you do it, and that here's the lockbox code. And I actually give them the lockbox code to the front door and let them go in the house.
What, are you crazy? You're letting strangers in your house?
Right. I get a lot of that. I got to tell you, I've done this so many times, and I've never had a problem.
And no one's stolen the entire house?
Well, first of all, there's nothing in the house. But more importantly, usually the only thing that's in there is staging, and it's like not a big deal. But most important, because you are using the service that I'm telling you, everybody that calls that phone number, it captures their caller ID. So if I did have a problem, which one time we were curious, and so we did it, if I did have a problem, I can go on to my Freedom Voice account, and I print all the phone numbers, and I just give it to the police officer and let him go find them.
Yeah.
So if there's something wrong, then there's no way that they can call the phone number and not have a caller ID. It just the recording won't work unless that happens.
Sure.
Okay. So we have a list of all the phone numbers. Okay. Once they go into the house, once they enter the house, right at the door, I have an easel with a whiteboard, and pretty much it says three things. The first thing it says, and I'm going to paraphrase this because I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I have to look at my cheat sheet. But the first thing says, thank you for being here. Take a walk around. Make sure this is the house that you want to buy. Make sure that this is it. The second thing is, make sure you bring back to the house as many times as you want the people that are going to help you make the decision or live with you, so they like the house. And then the third thing is, go to the front counter, the kitchen counter, and there's a flyer pack on the kitchen counter, and pick it up before you leave. Now, the flyer pack is the first page, and I say flyer pack, I'm going to tell you what that is, but the flyer pack is the first time that they find the price of the house. Up until this point, we've not told them how much the house is. So they're actually in the house, in the kitchen, they find out how much the house is. So that flyer pack consists of this. The first page is kind of like an MLS listing. It has a picture of the house, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how many square feet, how much the house is. I do all this in Word, by the way, a Word document. So it's got a nice picture of the house and all the description of everything, and then how much the house is. The second page is, if I have more than one house, I have the other houses, like very often we'd have 3 or 4 houses for sale. So what I would do is and you don't have to use this in the flyer pack. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But if I have 3 or 4 other houses, what I would do is I say, if you don't like this house, then go check out one of these other 3 houses.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense, though. If you have the houses, might as well sell all of them.
Sold a lot of houses
that
way.
Yeah.
They go in that house, they don't like it, they want the owner financing, and they realize, let's go look at this one.
Yeah, pick one.
And it has a picture of the house on the left side, and then directions on how to get to the other house from where they are right now. So they get back in the car. I mean, back then we didn't have, I'm talking 8 or 10 years ago when we started doing this, GPS wasn't like it is now. I mean, GPS was something you paid like $500 for, and a lot of people didn't have it. Now it's on everybody's cell phone.
Sure.
So we actually put the address there. Again, we don't put the price, and we send them to the next house. So the first page of the flyer pack is the MLS. We call MLS listing, but it's not. It's like what an MLS listing looks like. It's all the details. Second page is other houses we have for sale. Now, if we don't have other houses for sale, then we just skip that page. The third and fourth page is all the frequently asked questions about how do we do this.
Sure. What do you mean lease and option to buy? How does it work? How much do I pay? All those questions.
How much of a down payment do you need? All that kind of stuff. We just, and they're very, and I got to tell you, I'm extremely, extremely proud of that, because it took us almost a year to develop that. And the way we did it is because we got a lot of leads, and my sales manager at the time, my sales manager that was dealing with the buyers, compiled a list of these questions that he heard the most. Now, he literally got thousands over the course of a couple of years of people that he spoke to, because we were selling a lot of houses.
Sure.
So this list I'm very proud of it because...
Well, that's a real list.
Yeah.
That's from real questions.
It's real questions that we heard over and over and over, and it's right down to almost exactly the way they word it.
And that's got to save you a lot of time.
Yes.
Answering questions.
Yes.
Which is annoying.
So it's 2 pages of the frequently asked questions.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next section, which I think is page 4 and 5, but I might have lost track of the pages. The next section is, what do you do next?
Right.
And basically that page deals with the deposit or down payment money, because really that's all I care about.
Mm-hmm.
I ask them, is their credit good, bad, or ugly?
Mm-hmm.
Good, fair, or ugly? We do it both ways.
You're just getting the feedback from the person now. If they like the house,
right?
How much you have for deposit?
Right. So at this point, I not only let them know that they could have good, bad, or ugly credit, or good, fair, and ugly credit, but I let them know that they can still buy the house, and we can help them with that.
That's interesting. I have seen the sheets. I've used them, but I would think that's something we need to know. But the way you just put it, it makes it okay for them to tell you.
Yeah.
So you don't feel bad.
Well, we want to help them.
Yeah, because otherwise you're like, no, we can't buy this. Our credit's bad. But you ask them, it's okay if my credit's poor. Yeah, my credit's poor.
Right.
And then it makes them comfortable to talk to you then. That's crazy.
Right. So really all that is it's a gauge of how much deposit money we're going to take.
Mm-hmm.
So like a guy that has really good credit, we might take $3,000. A guy that has bad credit, we might take $8,000.
Yeah.
Just because...
It's got to even out somewhere.
Well, if he defaults, we want to make sure we have money in escrow.
Yeah, there's more risk, so more money.
Yeah. Because we're going to hold that money.
Yeah.
Right. So, here's another interesting thing about that page. Okay, is we prompt them on where they can get the deposit.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
We tell them we take trade-ins.
Trade-ins.
Do you have cars or campers or
dogs?
Yeah, well, not dogs, but you're teasing me because I bought a dog like that once. But my daughter's got a $1,500 Chihuahua that I paid as part of a deposit one time. Anyways,
well, you had a smart one. We were in the first time I saw you do this with somebody. They asked if you have. It was like this time, the beginning of the year. It's like, do you have any IRS money coming?
Right.
Of course.
Right.
You know, March,
tax
April.
refunds.
Yeah.
We ask them about that. We ask them if they have any lawsuits that we can attach.
Oh. Money they're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like one time I took in a fifth wheel camper. A fifth wheel camper was like a 30-foot thing. It was huge.
Huh.
I couldn't even move it. I had to hire somebody to move it. And very often when I sell my houses this way, I'm always, if I'm asking $210 for the house, if I think I want $210, I'll ask $219.9. So I usually have a $10,000 cushion in the property. The reason why is because of this reason. Like suppose like this guy in this particular case, the guy had a camper, and I think we showed him like $21,000 for a deposit, and we got something like $13,000 for the camper.
Mm-hmm.
So it washed out because I had already had a $10,000 cushion in the price of the house, anyways. So it's kind of like a used car trick thing, but that's what I do. So when we do trade-ins, the rule on trade-ins is whatever they have, it's 50% or less money. So if a guy has a truck and he says it's worth $10,000, then you need to realize you're only getting $5,000
by the time you get it and sell it.
Jewelry is another one. I've sold a lot of houses with jewelry, and we bring the jewelry to the pawn shop, and we get 50% of whatever it's worth. I've gotten diamonds, and we tell them that they can't get that money. They can't get the money back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take it to a pawn shop or something like that and just use it. I mean, if somebody's got a diamond that's worth $6,000 and I can get $3,000, they're halfway there for a deposit, or maybe it's the full deposit.
Yeah,
and I've had that happen. And they could be like diamonds that they inherited from family or a mother or whatever. I mean, it's all different things can happen.
Sure.
The other thing is we prompt them to take a look at like retirement money, 401ks, IRAs. All that kind of stuff. So this page does all of that. It prompts them to think about this stuff. So it's not just, I don't have $5,000 or $10,000 in a checking account.
Yeah. By the way, just so people understand, these aren't people that are broke. They don't have great credit, they need the lease option. And
Usually
I talked to a
people
family,
like
the guy
that
had
have money.
$400,000 in a 401k, and he could
Right.
put 10% of it down, $40,000.
Right.
But he didn't have good credit because of divorce. These are nice people with jobs. Things happen.
Right.
So don't think these are all bums. You know, some people like renters, and they just see if they can buy a house. Maybe not realistically, but you
Right.
get plenty. They got money,
Yep.
and they need your help though.
Yep.
So you're doing them a great service.
Yeah. So at this particular point, the next page is the full credit application, which is a 2-page application. The application isn't an application; it's a disguise because we've already got the next step is the application. The reason why we get the application is because we want to know how many people are going to be in the house, and each person that goes in the house has to fill out an application. We want to know their social security number. We want to know where they work. We want to know all the information, their friends. The big thing is we try to get 3 to 5 referrals. So if they skip town, we have people to call. We want to make sure we have their phone numbers. What you're basically doing is, I learned a long time ago in this business, and this is what changed my life for me. Is most people are afraid of default. You know, like if the buyer defaults.
Sure.
I actually set it up so that if the buyer defaults, I make the most amount of money.
Yeah.
So I want them to default. And when I changed that in my process, all of a sudden I didn't have as many defaults. I wasn't worried about it.
You turned a problem into a solution.
Mm-hmm. So this is the beginning of wanting them to default. So I'm setting myself up to get all the eviction and all of the data that I need to get them out of the house. And when I get into trouble, I'm going back to the application. So they think that they need to give me, it's a little bit covert, but they feel like they need to give me the information to apply when really it's giving me the information to evict them.
If needed.
If needed.
Yeah. And you're not really hoping they do this, but just setting it up so that you don't have a problem.
No, I hope they do. Because then I get the house back and I get to do it again. If I do it any other way in my head, I mean, it sounds cruel, but if I do it any other way in my head, it doesn't work.
Well, I know you're not a bad guy. I know you personally, so you're not like,
no,
you're not wringing your hands like waiting for this shoe to drop.
To me, that's the best deal. That's the best deal.
You have to set up to protect yourself because if the seller's worried, you got to be worried. And then why do this if you're going to get screwed to help somebody else who's making a mess?
Right.
Any business that I set up, payments, I set it up so that I can't lose because if I don't screw up, I don't want to lose. If you screw up, you lose.
Right.
You know, why should I lose? Because you messed up.
Right.
I'm doing my best. You do your best. And if you mess up, well, you have to pay for it. You know, you drop your ice cream, I'm not buying you one.
Right.
So you have it set up to protect yourself.
I try not to take less than a 3 or 5% deposit money.
Mm-hmm.
So on a $200,000 house, it's at least $6,000.
Mm-hmm.
I try to get $10,000. Some houses I'll hold out for $10,000 or $15,000. That money goes. Sometimes I take some of that money, but I always make sure that I have at least 6 months worth of rent,
right,
or mortgage payments that I got to pay, especially subject to because the deed's in our name. So it's especially subject to. I try to make sure I have 6 months worth of holding costs and rent. So if something happens, I'm not coming out of my pocket with money.
Yeah,
it's coming out of the deal.
Yeah.
And then they actually sign 2 documents. One is a lease and one is an option. The last thing I'm going to talk about, and then we're gonna move on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually not. So the option to sell is much different than the option to buy. So my option agreements, and it took me dozens of deals to figure this out. It was amazing when I figured this out. It was like one of those real revelations. And I don't always execute it, but I definitely put it in the option agreement. And it's pretty clever. So when I write the option agreement, say the house is $200,000. I write on the option agreement that we agree to $200,000.
To the seller.
To the seller.
Okay.
No.
To the buyer.
No, to the buyer. I probably agreed at $160,000.
Yeah.
To the seller.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure.
To the buyer, it's say $100,000 or $200,000. So the buyer, I'll buy it for $160,000. It's just an option, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I'm selling it, I'll sell it for $200,000. Okay, for the first 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
So in most cases, they need credit repair. So we'll set them up with a credit repair company, or help them get approved for a favorable mortgage. So if they move, which most of them don't, but if they move, because realize that if they put down $10,000, it's a non-refundable deposit because they're actually purchasing the option consideration. So they're becoming part owner by getting equity in the property. They're buying their equity in the property for $10,000.
Well, they can't say I'm going to buy your house and change your mind and walk away.
No. Well, they can, but they lose the $10,000.
Right. I mean, they couldn't just do it for free. Why would you hold a house for 2 years that maybe they'll buy it in 2 years? Oh, they changed their mind, and you're screwed. You have to. It's worth something, so that's what you're buying, the option to purchase it, because you're not going to sell it to anybody else.
That's right. It's exclusive. I can't
fair.
I can't go sell this. I can't market it. I can't do nothing. I can't go sell it to anybody else.
Oh, by the way, we sold the house from under you.
Yeah.
Who wants that to happen?
Can't do that. Yeah.
No. Protects them.
So
from
they're
being
leasing
thrown
the
out.
property, paying a monthly lease, which, by the way, the lease includes that they do all the maintenance, they pay the water bill, they fix their own toilets, they cut the grass, they plow the driveway. I do nothing. I'm the bank. Okay, so this is not like rent. This is a lease. This is much different.
That's why they don't mess the house up, because they think it's theirs, because they just
put $10,000 to put down, and often they'll pay extra money every month towards their deposit. They'll increase their deposit. Like, I've had a lot of people, they'll pay $1,500 a month for rent and give me $1,700 a month and take $200 a month and put it towards their deposit. So over the course of 2 years, they put in an extra $5,000. So now they got $15,000 down instead of $10,000.
Right. That helps them get the mortgage down the road from the bank too, right? Because the bank, because all this money goes toward the house deposit, so it's not, you're not going for 100%
money is
financing.
Not interest; it goes right towards their principal.
Yeah, because the bank's not going to give them 100% financing and say, no, I already paid $10,000, $15,000. Okay, here's your rest, and that's normal for the bank to give that portion.
Right. So the first 12 months on the option is for the $200,000. Then what I do is every month after that, it's an extra 0.5%.
Every month?
Yeah, because I usually sign a 2-year lease. So what that does is if they actually execute the option in the second year, depending on which month, it's 0.5% each month, which is actually 6% over the year.
Right.
So if they wait to the end of the 2 years, they're actually paying $200,000 plus 6%, which is actually $212,000.
The price goes up a little bit,
which is actually $212,000, because it's 6% of $200,000. Right?
Yeah.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's $6,000 a year. Right. I'm sorry, $206,000.
No. Yeah, the first year's no charge.
Yeah, so it's
$206,000.
Right? Yeah.
So this encourages them to move fast to get your credit repaired.
That's the point.
Hurry up.
That's the point. Because if they don't wait, then I'm charging an extra $6,000. I will tell you that more often than not, I don't charge them the $6,000. I use it as a negotiating fee. Because here's what happens: you get to the end and things happen, and you need to move things around, and that's something that I'll move. I'll let them go back to their $200,000 if they do this.
Okay.
Like if the inspector comes in and says it needs $5,000 worth of work, I'll tell them, you pay. I'll tell you what. I'll go back to the original agreement at $200,000, and you just take care of the repairs. Okay.
Yeah. So you took $6,000 off. They paid $5,000.
Yeah. It's just there. You can remove it anytime you want. But more than anything, it motivates them to make sure that they're going to go do their credit repair and they're going to get the deal done.
Right.
Okay.
So they need incentives. I also noticed that you charge them a little bit more on the lease.
Yeah, so the way I figure out my lease is, that's a good point. The way I figure out how much my lease is.
All around incentives.
Yeah. So the way I figure out what my leases are is I go into a mortgage calculator and I take whatever current money it is. So if they have a mortgage for $200,000 and today's interest is 4% or 5%, I go into just a mortgage calculator, which you could just Google online. Just Google mortgage calculator, and you can find simple calculators.
They're there.
And I put in there the taxes and the insurance, and suppose the payment comes out to be $1,300. We'll say it's not for a $200,000 mortgage, but let's say it's $1,300. I don't charge $1,300. I charge anywhere from $200 to $400 above what the mortgage would normally be. And I tell them when I'm selling the house and I'm the big fat landlord stealing their money. I tell them that right at the closing.
Use the word stealing?
Yeah. I'm the big fat landlord and I'm stealing their money. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you realize if you get a mortgage that it's only $1,300, but I'm charging you $1,600. You get that, right? And it motivates them to go get their credit. And I tell them the best time for them to buy this house is within the first year. So if they fix their credit and do what and I will help them with all that because what I want is for them to cash out. But they're paying an extra $300 because they're renting. And I have administration costs, and I have to worry about it, and I have to back you up because if you don't pay, I got to evict you and all that kind of stuff, and all that costs money.
And that's normal. If the guy never sold you the house in the first place, he said, no, I'm just going to rent it. What would he charge?
Right.
Same thing.
Right.
If anybody renting is not paying the landlord cost, who would do? Hey, you want to rent something cost? No, everybody has to put $200-$300, whatever, on top of it. So that's normal anyway.
Right.
But they get the break when they become the homeowner.
So I get a lot of students that ask, how do you figure out the rents? That's how I figure out the rents. Probably the best thing to do to check it is to go to Rentometer or Rentometer.
Yeah.
It's Rentometer or Rentometer.
Yeah, measure rent.
.com. Yeah. And so it's Rentometer.com, and you can figure out what your rents are. But honestly, that doesn't matter because you're not really renting. You're selling a house owner financing. So those are good gauges. I don't know why my students get hung up on that. I get a lot of students get hung up on that. The truth of the matter is, if they went and got a $200,000 mortgage, it's going to cost them $1,300, we'll say, and they're paying $1,600, and you just bring that on the table. I mean, you take the big pink elephant, put them right on the table, and say, "I'm the big fat landlord, and I'm stealing from you," and it works every time, and they get it, and it motivates them. They know it, But I'm giving them an opportunity that they're never going to get anywhere else. No,
and I've talked to these guys on the phone.
Like,
what kind of house do you want? Anything.
Yeah.
I just want I just want a house. My wife wants me to get. I just want a house.
Right.
These guys are. It's their first purchase. They're stuck in a rent. They just want to get out.
So that's the system. Let me rattle off the stats because we're right at an hour, and then we're going to get out of here. Okay.
Okay.
So any house that I've sold, or a majority of the houses that I've sold, I used to promote that I get 100 phone calls, but it's between 70 and 80 phone calls. If you're good, I mean, the other thing is we've put classified ads in a newspaper. We've done things like that. So it depends if you're doing more than what I'm talking about. If you post it on Craigslist, and we have some other websites we do. Zillow has some sites and stuff. So, but you're going to probably get it. You're going to get a minimum. You got to get a minimum of 70, 80 phone calls because you probably won't sell the house until then. But it's usually a minimum of 70 or 80 phone calls, which is why we don't answer the phone because those are suspects and tire kickers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't have time.
Yeah. Out of the 70 or 80, you're probably going to get about 30 or 40 that will go through the house. If you're lucky, sometimes it's 20 or 30, but usually 30 or 40 that will go through the house and view the house. Okay? So realize when you're making your flyers, you're going to have 30 or 40 people go through the house, and make sure you're making enough flyers. Which, by the way, we make extra flyers because the flyers run out. And people will call you and tell you, which, by the way, the only place that they're going to get our phone number is on the application form, or the next step form is the only place they find our phone number. So that's how they communicate with us.
And they still call another recorded service, right, at that point?
No, they'll call my
I forget what was on the phone
the
number.
Sales
We have so
manager.
many phone numbers, I get lost sometimes. So that one.
On the next
point.
step form is the sales manager's phone number, so they can call and ask questions.
Yeah.
But they don't get any of that until they've been through the house and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know I'm confused because sometimes I put it on Craigslist and they just call.
Right.
Before they see the house, they just call. And you get the phone number, you have a chat, go send them the house or not. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how that went.
Yeah. So they call and they'll speak to the sales manager, and that's the only time they could do that. So you're going to have about, we'll say 20 or 30, maybe if you're lucky 30 or 40 people go through the house, we'll say 20 or 30. Out of that, you'll end up with anywhere from 3 to 8, 3 to 9 applications.
Okay.
And then we interview them one by one. I interview them. That's when I come into the deal. And I sit down with them and I ask them this or that and the other thing. Okay, so when you automate like this, it's much different than putting a property on the MLS. The key is that you're advertising house for sale without bank financing, no bank qualifying. That's a big button. Even with people that have money are curious about that because they think that you're just you just got a lot of money and you're just going to help them, which is true. But because you bought the houses the way we talk about buying houses, you get underlying financing and you're passing it on to your end user. So and it works really good. It works really good. By
the way, you didn't mention the number. How many people can't get the mortgage, and how many people are in this boat that need the lease option?
Yeah, as of this recording, it's about 83% are not qualified for a mortgage in the United States. About 19% are.
So you'd say there's a pretty big market for this?
Yeah. Yeah. And that number will change, but it's always going to be. I've been doing it for 12 years, 12 years, and it's always been that way. There's always going to be someone that doesn't want to go. Some people just don't want to go through the hassle. I mean, technically, I could put a house up for sale, and if everything, and I have had this happen. Like by Sunday, people are moving in. And I could put a house up for sale Wednesday or Thursday. By Sunday, somebody's moving in.
Yep.
I mean, I had a Chinese guy one time go into my house in North Haven and gave me $20,000 worth in cash.
Cash?
And he gave me a month's worth plus the month's rent. He moved in. He had a mail order bride that he got from wherever, and they lasted, I think, 5 months. And he just disappeared. I kept his $20,000. He left the house in immaculate condition. He
lost the money. He lost the wife. Oh, no.
I re-rented it to somebody else 3 weeks later, put him in there for, I think, $10,000 and change, 10,800 or something like that. They stayed in that house 8 years. We just sold it.
Well,
so I made $30,000 before I even sold the house.
Deposits.
Yeah, just on deposits.
Beside the cash flow and besides the equity you increased.
Right.
At the cash.
Right.
Nice. Nicely done. But also, he got what he was looking for. He didn't want to rent. He wanted
I didn't steal the money from anybody. I mean, he knew that I go through it. I mean, my presentation before you go in my house is at least 90 minutes. We go over every little piece of the contract. Lately, I record it because I put it on my cell phone and I record it just so I don't have problems later on. I keep that in a private file. I don't share it with nobody. But I actually record it so God forbid anything happens, I'm giving it to the lawyer. Tell the lawyer, you listen to what he said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you have everything signed, too.
Yeah.
Check here, check there. Initial. Yeah.
Everything is gone over.
I've seen Judge Judy, Judge Wapner. It's written on a piece of paper. You signed it.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah.
Fair, even if it's not fair,
yeah.
You signed it. So if you do it correctly, fairly, you signed it.
Yeah. So, okay, Pete, it all comes down to this.
Oh, that's what the show was about.
The check.
Now I got it. I've been wondering for an hour. The check.
Yeah, the check.
Okay.
So if you do what I'm telling you, it's not that difficult. It's a bit of work, but you don't have to be nervous.
No, I've had several of these.
When you do it this way, it's amazing.
Never worried one speck. I have one I'm working on now. I might take it. I might leave it. If I don't like it, I might. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But you just juggle and judge your time in and your profit out.
Yep.
And the person that needs some help on the other end.
Yep.
If they're going to be cooperative or annoying.
This is true. Okay, so here we are, Pete, the end of the show. Hope you got a lot out of this. I gave away some pretty good websites today.
No.
How was that?
That's a lot of good data, Bill.
I gave a lot of good websites away. Revealed some of my secrets.
Oh, yeah.
Took me years to find those websites. Test them and use them.
Yeah.
All right, so if you have any questions, you can go to info@flippinghouses for flippinghouses.club. I was going to say for rookies, but it's not for rookies.
That's too long.
It's too long. So info@flippinghouses.club. You'll hear it on the music on your way out. And if you have any questions about anything we talked about, just shoot me an email. I am support. I am the one that answers them. I don't always answer them within the same day, but definitely within a day or two. And I will respond to whatever you're looking for. And go to flippinghouses.club/podcast, and all of the podcasts that we advertise are there. Please go there and hit the subscribe button, especially on iTunes, and subscribe us and leave us a comment because we live off those comments. We love to see the good comments. We like to see the bad ones too so we can fix things, but we don't get too many of those.
Hello, is anybody listening? Hello?
Yeah, I get a lot of emails. Yeah. I get a lot of compliments about the show. And I thank everybody for that.
And that's why we like podcasts. We actually get feedback.
Yeah.
We run it, we do it, and we see what's going on ourselves.
Yeah, we've got, we're on show 40, and I think we've got well over 90,000 downloads, and we're just climbing. Every day it's a lot. So,
Bill, we have friends.
We have friends.
Finally, we have friends, not just you and me.
Yeah, there you go. So I hope you enjoyed this, and please go subscribe to our iTunes page. You'll find that on flippinghouses.club/podcast. You can go to flippinghouses.club and sign in to our free, we have 10 videos that we're giving away, which I don't know how much longer we're going to do that. My internet guys are telling me we're giving away too much stuff and we should break it down. So make sure you go get it sooner than later because I don't know how much longer we're going to do that. But it's the 7 ways that I buy houses. It's about 2.5 hours worth of videos, worth several $100s for sure. you can get it for free. So you can get that at flippinghouses.club, or you can go to flippinghouses.club podcast, or you can, any one of the pages you're on, you can click on contact us and send me in a support ticket, and I'll help you out.
And what about the Instagram, the new Instagram feature?
Or just go to Instagram. It's Flipping Houses for Rookies. Just go on Instagram and just join our page, because I'm going to start posting my different projects and pictures of you and I and stuff, so they can actually see us.
Now we're living dangerously.
They're going to find out that I'm a big fat guy and you're a little short bald guy.
That's right. There's still some left. I just got a cut yesterday.
Yeah, there you go.
There we are.
All right, Pete, over and out. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.